Fire off your questions.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Can you talk about what you've seen and what you've learned about your defense since Saturday? If they had, as you talked about before, a lot of long sustained drives where you couldn't get your defense off the field, and even the final drive when it was tied, they took it right down 9 plays. And what are you finding that you need to do better there? What didn't go well defensively?
Well, trying to cover all phases of that was difficult for us, and they're really where we got hurt a lot in the end was third down conversion with the pass, and so we stuck our nose in there for the run a little bit, and they hit some control passes on us, and then they converted on some third downs to the tight end, and the quarterback scrambled and hit the guy down to whatever it was, a 3-yard line, or so we lost contain there and let him get out of the pocket. But again, it was some of the same things of making sure we stay disciplined against that type of an offense that you can make sure you have all phases of that covered. And I thought the guys played hard. It just they made some plays in key situations. Their quarterback played great, I thought.
You figured to face an offense similar to that before UCLA?
I'm not sure. I haven't watched the other teams, so I don't know, what the other teams are doing.
What happened on the outside containment on that touchdown run?
They cracked the guy who was responsible for the quarterback, and the guy that was covering the crack guy needs to come off on it. He came off late, and that guy's really fast, and so we couldn't catch him. You have to have someone always responsible for the quarterback, and Josh was responsible for the quarterback on that play. They took the receiver down and cracked the guy responsible for him, so the guy covering the crack man has to replace. And he got caught inside a little bit on it, and then he didn't redirect fast enough, and that guy outran us.
How do you think Brennan Scarlett played in his first start?
He did well. He did well. It was nice to see. He was physical, played well, hustled, and I think he'll just continue to get better now that he's played and understands the speed of the game a little bit. But I thought he played hard. He was physical.
Was he more disciplined than you would anticipate a guy who's seeing his first action against that kind of offense to be?
No, you expect that of him. He studies hard, and he's a guy who does what you tell him to do, and so you would expect that from him.
And it seemed like looking at going back and looking at it, he kind of stayed home a little more than most other new kids would.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But you have to have 11 guys discipline what they're doing, because if one guy spins out of a gap, or one guy doesn't keep his eyes disciplined where it is, then it could be a big play. And so it takes all 11 to do it.
Yep, yeah. I think on Sunday you said that Todd Barr played well. Probably earned himself a little more playing time. Would you expect him to do as well in a more extended period of play, or is he a guy that you just want to spot in there?
Well, we need to rotate the D lineman as we always have done, and he's brought some depth to the position, and so it really depends on the type of offense that we're playing and the type of personnel packages that we're using on defense. But Todd's really played well through the spring and through fall camp, and he plays fast, and he's got a real knack for making himself skinny and getting through holes and redirect. He's got the speed to redirect and get where he needs to be.
How pleased were you with what Kenny Kafusi was able to? It's been a while since he's been in there and played significantly.
Yeah, exactly. Really, all the defensive linemen, as you know, were hurt through camp, and so there was a real fine line as you went into the week of the game. They were just all coming off injuries. Kafusi, that was really his first live action. Kendrick Payne was just coming off a knee scope, and so the week of the game, you really had to be careful. They missed so much time that you had to be careful. You didn't want to go so hard with them that they weren't ready to play for the game, but you want to make sure and try to get them enough where they were ready. And I thought Kenny did a good job. Kenny really conditioned himself well when he was over in rehab. You know, he worked really hard at that. So I was pleased with the way he played. And I think all those guys are going to just continue to get better each week.
Do you expect to have Mustafa Jalil?
We'll see. He practiced today some, and so we'll see how he responds to a week of work here. He was getting better last week, but he wasn't where he needed to be. So really, he was only going to play in case of emergency. And you know, but it would be nice to have him back, some experience and some depth there.
How much was the fact that you didn't have those guys really all together for weeks in camp? How much did that impact their performance, you think, on as a group on Saturday?
Well, I think it slowed us a little bit because of, you know, for the last 2 weeks, almost last week and a half, 2 weeks of camp, we really had no defensive line, and so you can't get the quality work that you want to get done in camp because they were all hurt. So, and that's what I mean, going into the last week, you really had to balance how much to get them. We went, you know, a little bit of live on Tuesday last week to make sure we get them some live type game action. But then you had to be careful where you didn't overdo it, and then they were out again. So, but there's no doubt that we were slowed a little bit through camp because of a lot of injuries there.
Do you think that impacted the offensive line at all?
We did not get to do what we typically do through camp. You know, we had to do a lot of pod work and a lot of teamwork because of it. But you know, I don't know that had a, you know, I don't know it had a detrimental effect to the offensive line in the game.
I think you're over that hump now of trying with the defensive line of making sure that.
I do, yeah. I think we're back on track now. We practiced really hard today, real physical today. We went live and practiced today to give them some more work. So it, but I think they're on the, you know, they're on the mend now to where, you know, they should be ready to play in games.
Any news on Summers Gavin?
No, not yet.
Does he have the MRI yet or not?
This afternoon.
Would Tyndall replace him if?
Tyndall, if he doesn't play, Tyndall will play right tackle.
How did he play?
Who?
Tyndall.
He played okay. He only played for, you know,
0.
6 plays or so.
And then Matt came in for the last series?
I didn't see Matt come back in, but again, I was watching the clock, and I didn't see Matt come back in.
Can you give us a little scouting report on Southern Utah? I think they're a team that not many people are overly familiar with.
Yeah, they're, you know, they get a lot of bounce backs. They get a lot of people that come back off of missions. Their quarterback is a really good player. He's a pro prospect, big-time pro prospect, big kid, 6'5" guy who can really throw it all around the field. Big offensive line. They've done a nice job there. I think personnel-wise, they're better this year than they were last year on the defensive side of the ball with their linebacking core. Defensive line plays hard. They're big. You know, they do a good job. They've you know, last year, you know, I was watching one of their games against Vegas. They blew out Vegas at Vegas 40-something to 6 or something like that. And so they have some talented players on their team, and they're physical in their down lineman positions, and they play very hard. And Utah State played really well last week. The quarterback played really well, and you know, that's really the same Utah State team that took Auburn, you know, down to the wire a year ago. And so Utah State played really well last week. And but Southern Utah, you know, they have skill, they have size, they have a very good quarterback.
How would you describe their offensive philosophy? Obviously, they're not going to beat Nevada again, but.
It's more of a pro style. It's a pro style offense.
And they throw the ball.
They throw the ball downfield. Yeah, they're a pro style run, play action pass. They can spread you out and drop back pass as well. And that's the thing about him is he can put the ball anywhere on the field. He's got a very strong arm. And so, you know, you need to put pressure on him. He's not overly mobile. He can move a little bit, but but we definitely have to pressure him, and we have to do a good job of covering, because if guys are open, he's going to hit them, no matter where they are.
Jeff, do you anticipate, with your no huddle this week, with the communication being better, smoother?
Our communication was fine. We had one play early in the game that somebody didn't see a signal, and in the no huddle, when guys were coming off, they called us for having 12 guys on the field. But that was one time. I thought besides that they handled it pretty well. And
plays are signaled in by hand signs. Is that fair to say in general terms? As opposed to shouting out like, ZY, triple back.
No, because there's communication that goes on, both verbal and nonverbal.
Jeff,